Before boarding, I suddenly noticed that this flight was number 1015. Today was October 15th, and the departure time had been delayed due to weather until 10:15. The coincidence left me with a vague sense of unease. Before boarding, I couldn't resist asking the captain if everything was normal for today's flight. Only after receiving an affirmative response did I feel slightly reassured. But as soon as I sat down, I spotted an MP3 player left on in the seat in front of me. When I saw what was playing on the screen, it read, "Mysterious Stories of Flight 1015. Curiosity got the better of me, and I put on the headphones to listen. To my shock, it detailed events unfolding right around me. The flight attendants were conducting the safety demonstration, and heavy rain was pounding the cabin exterior. I pulled back the window shade, it matched perfectly. Then the MP3 continued. 1 hour from now, the aircraft will lose contact with the control tower and crash into the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. There will be no survivors." Just as I dismissed it as absurd, the plane began to shake. I assumed it was normal turbulence during climb. Then the MP3 stated, "At 10:21, the aircraft will encounter a flock of birds. One will strike an engine." I pulled back the curtain, nothing visible outside. I had barely exhaled in relief when the impact sounded precisely on schedule. I immediately summoned the flight attendant and asked if the plane had struck a bird. She informed me that at our current cruising altitude, birds simply couldn't be present. I put my headphones back on and listened further. What I heard sent chills down my spine. The MP3 stated the plane would lose contact and crash at 11:15, with all 117 passengers perishing, and now less than 45 minutes remained before the disaster. This meant I had to uncover the cause within the limited time remaining to prevent the disaster. I jotted down all suspicious points on paper and investigated them one by one. Unusual behavior among the flight attendants, suspicious individuals among the passengers, and finally the captain's cockpit. But everyone appeared completely normal, showing no signs of trouble. All doubts were ruled out. Then the MP3 continued. The plane would lose contact after the captain uttered the words, "Good night, New York." Just then, the captain approached, dragged me into the rest area, and demanded to know if I was mentally ill. I had no time to explain. I desperately pleaded with him, "Whatever you do, don't say good night, New York at 11:15.
Because those are the last words anyone will ever hear from this plane.
Just as the captain was about to explode, the flight attendant suddenly appeared, flashing his badge and arresting me for endangering public safety. I told the flight attendant about the MP3, but he didn't believe a word about predicting the future. With only 5 minutes left before the plane was scheduled to go off the radar, the captain called the flight attendant away on business. I turned to a bearded man beside me and asked if he knew how to fly a plane. He said he could handle it. I told him if he could seize control of the cockpit and return to the departure airport before losing contact, he could save everyone on board. But he said the cockpit door had a code. I glanced at the numbers on my MP3 title, 1015. Recalling the sequence that had repeatedly appeared before boarding, I gambled the code was also 1015. He agreed to try, explaining that after seizing control, he'd immediately depressurize the cabin to knock everyone unconscious from oxygen deprivation, avoiding panic. He pulled an oxygen tank from under his seat and handed it to me, instructing me to use it to maintain breathing until he succeeded, then meet him. In that moment, I felt like I was the one who had saved this plane. The bearded man entered the cockpit using the code I provided. Sounds of struggle echoed through the monitors as passengers screamed. Within seconds, he announced he had taken control. The crew attempted to intervene but lacked the access code. As cabin pressure dropped, passengers fell unconscious one by one. Only I remained alert, having prepared in advance. The tower attempted communication, but the bearded man cut them off without a word.
Good night, New York.
Then he collapsed and fell asleep. He showed no intention of meeting up. Everything clicked into place instantly. The one responsible for crashing this plane was the bearded man, and the one who helped him seize control, it was me.